The NCAA clears the way for college athletes to start getting paid.
We've been hearing about mold problems in off-campus apartments, but Carolina Housing is also dealing with mold issues, and some say cleanup efforts are taking too long.
And the town of Chapel Hill is gearing up for one of the biggest crowds of the year. We'll tell you what you need to know before heading to Franklin Street for Halloween.
From the UNC Hussman School of Journalism and Media, connecting Carolina's campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
The years-long debate over whether college athletes should get paid may be coming to an end. Good afternoon, I'm Haley Boland.
And I'm Shondell Moniz. The NCAA announcement is our top story. The NCAA has made the unanimous decision to allow college athletes to be compensated, but just how and why they're getting paid is a little complicated. Reporter Peyton Tysinger is live in the studio to break down the details for us. Peyton.
Shondell, the NCAA is taking the first steps to allow athletes to cash in on their names. I'll dive into the logistics of this in just a minute, but first let's take a look at these numbers. UNC Athletics grossed $104 million in revenue during the 2018 fiscal year. The NCAA, more than $1.1 billion in revenue. Under the current standards, NCAA athletes saw none of that money. However, according to the NCAA, 59% of Division I athletes at schools like UNC are on some form of athletic scholarship. That leaves 41% not on scholarship who, per the NCAA, are not allowed to work during their athletic seasons. But by January of 2021, athletes will be able to receive compensation for their name, image, and likeness. They will not be able to be paid for playing the sport itself. This decision was unanimously approved by the NCAA Board of Trustees on Tuesday, and it has received both praise and critiques.
This is the next step in modernizing what we do for our student athletes and providing another benefit, and I know our student athletes are going to be excited. The California law and other states bring about laws. It's probably a pressure point for us and cost us to move, and I think that that's okay. So the bottom line is we're doing what's right.
Critics say these headlines are being blown way out of proportion, and they don't see any real change coming because of the major caveats in the NCAA statement. Senator Richard Burr even chimed in saying that if these athletes are going to be cashing in on their name, he's going to propose legislation to tax the scholarships of these students. But as you just heard from the Ohio State Athletics Director, Gene Smith, this decision comes after California passed a law that would require college athletes to be paid for the use of their name, and a dozen other states, including North Carolina, were considering similar legislation. The debate about whether or not this will be happening is over, but there are still a lot of things to be worked out by lawmakers, the NCAA, and the schools themselves. Shondell?
We'll continue covering the latest updates on the NCAA decision. Be sure to follow Carolina Week and Sports Extra on Facebook and YouTube.
It's UNC's spookiest tradition, Homegrown Halloween, and tomorrow night Franklin Street will come alive as thousands of students dressed in their Halloween costumes will flood downtown Chapel Hill. Let's go live to reporter Jilly Kuhn on Franklin Street with the latest on how the town is prepping for the event. Jilly?
That's right, Haley. I am here on Franklin Street where in a little over 24 hours, this entire place is going to completely transform. The Chapel Hill Police Department expects anywhere between 18 and 20,000 people will turn out for this event. I know I will definitely be out here. The energy is always so great for Halloween on Franklin Street, but the police department does want you to be aware of some important details concerning tomorrow night's event. From 8 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. on Thursday, Franklin Street will be closed so event goers can walk around and show off those spooky costumes. Chapel Hill Police Department expects traffic to be a bit tight in downtown though from about 7:45 p.m. until 11:30 at night just because of the popularity of this event. I also asked Police Chief Chris Blue about the safety checkpoints that will be on the perimeter of the event.
If you're approaching Franklin Street really from any direction, you will run into a group of public safety officials who are going to check and make sure you don't have any dangerous parts to your costume. And that means things that are a weapon or could be used as a weapon or that look like a weapon.
Some other things prohibited from this event include things like fireworks, explosives, firearms. But for that full list of prohibited items, you can check that out on townofchapelhill.org. Reporting live from Franklin Street, I'm Julie Kuhn, Carolina Week.
Students aren't the only ones putting finishing touches on everything. For Halloween, local businesses are also getting ready for the frenzy.
We're on the forefront of Franklin Street, so the first thing that you're gonna get is, I'm hungry after the whole thing.
That's Everett Williams, the general manager of Benny Capella's on Franklin Street, and they are prepping for Halloween night by the pan, making extra dough and spinning extra pies. Many UNC students see Halloween as just a party, but for the businesses on Franklin Street, it's a major moneymaker. Carolina Week spoke with several businesses, including Benny's, Sup Dogs, and Buns. All of them are planning for the crowds and staying open late to feed the hungry visitors. If you put on your A game, you may even get a chance to win some free food.
I'm gonna give away a pie, either a couple slices of a pie to the best costume or the best group.
And although Halloween is a big money maker for businesses on Franklin Street, the town of Chapel Hill actually spends more than $100,000 on the event.
The mold in Granville Towers has been making headlines for weeks, but the problem is also affecting on-campus housing. And some say it's been an issue for a long time.
I looked inside of my AC and I could visibly see a lot of mold growing there and growing on the vents and stuff.
Junior Emily Potts has lived in Craig Residence Hall on South Campus for the past 3 years, serving as a residential advisor, or RA, for the past 2. Starting in February, she began experiencing serious health issues.
Where I got a very bad respiratory infection that turned into pneumonia, that I was hospitalized for 2 days from that because it was so bad. And that was a result of the mold in my AC.
Students on South Campus say they've seen little action from Carolina Housing.
I personally don't have a ton of power to get my problem fixed.
Problems that Potts isn't alone in facing. In written communication, Carolina Housing states that most mold reports come from 6 residence halls just like the one behind me here, potentially affecting more than 2,700 students. Just during the 2018-2019 school year, Carolina Housing received 484 maintenance requests mentioning mold. In the past 2 months, they've received 138 maintenance requests for mold. Larissa Burke is among the hundreds of requests from last school year.
I said it was inside of all my drawers, inside the cabinets, so all my clothes had mold in it because they had been inside the drawers. My futon was completely, I had to throw it out, completely destroyed. I had suitcases, which I stored all my clothes that were under my bed. Those were completely gone.
Burke was moved to another room in the same building, but this room had similar issues.
I'm not going to stay in this room because it's disgusting.
Burke estimates she incurred more than $500 in damages to her personal items, most of which she had to throw away. Carolina Housing promised to reimburse Burke, but so far has not.
It's frustrating and kind of disheartening to know that your employers don't really care enough to deal with something like that. It's where we're living.
Burke stopped noticing mold once workers replaced her window AC unit, but getting a new unit can be a long process. As shown by this map, 8 of the 14 undergrad residential communities contain dorms that need lots of repairs, which can include changes to the air conditioning units. Carolina Housing states that the health and safety of students, faculty, staff, and visitors is the university's highest priority. However, students are still left feeling unsatisfied. We reached out to Carolina Housing and the Chancellor's office. Both declined our request for on-camera interviews.
It's very frustrating because they preach this whole how they care about us, and clearly if so many people are having to deal with this, then how much do they really care?
Residence hall maintenance is a part of Carolina's ongoing master plan, but the students I spoke with are still looking for more from Carolina Housing.
Well, starting tomorrow, drivers will no longer be able to turn right on red at 16 intersections around Chapel Hill. Police will begin to enforce the ordinance that the town council passed at the beginning of the month. Town council members say they passed the new policy to help keep bikers and pedestrians safe. Others voiced concerns about drivers failing to yield in intersections. Opponents of the ordinance worry that it will only increase traffic delays across town, but the town officials say they pushed for the change after finding that more than 6% of pedestrian and bicyclist-involved accidents happened when a vehicle turned right on red.
The first flu-related death has been reported, and it's not far away from home. Reporter Natasha Lagur tells us more.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services announced first flu-related death. Professionals say that it happened during mild flu season. Even with low numbers of influenza, doctors are warning more cases could be coming soon. Students can get their flu shot here at Campus Health for free. Symptoms of influenza can be fever, headaches, sore throat, and dry cough. Doctors are encouraging people to get their flu shot by the end of the month to get the most out of it.
You've had the vaccine, you have some immunity, so that even if you get it, the symptoms that you might experience are going to be less severe.
According to the Office of Institutional Research and Assessment, 30,000 students are enrolled at UNC. And as you can see here, this is Campus Health's annual report from last year, and only 7,500 students took their vaccines. Doctors are very concerned that students are not taking this seriously. I took my flu shot. It only takes 5 minutes to fill up a questionnaire and have my flu shot taken. The nurse said it takes 2 weeks for the flu shot to take effect in your body. In Chapel Hill, I'm Natasha Lagur, Carolina Week.
A Chapel Hill nonprofit is working to decrease drowning rates among children one swim lesson at a time.
Reporter Caroline Boyer has more on this very important program.
Carolina Swims Foundation is making a splash in the community. This nonprofit provides free monthly swim lessons for foster children, but founder Sarah Chair says for these kids,
it's more than a swim lesson, it's giving the gift to swim.
Many of these children wouldn't have the chance to learn this skill otherwise.
Especially in the foster system, there's just not many things that are specified just for them, and I think that it's really important for it not to be anything to do with cost, just focusing on them.
Carolina Swims not only provides a fun form of exercise.
If you can give a person the skill of swimming, really a survival life skill, then that will protect them from the risk of drowning their entire lives.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, drowning is the #1 cause of unintentional death in children ages 1 to 4, and the #2 cause of unintentional death in children ages 4 to 15. It's the all-time #5 cause of death among all ages.
So if we can protect these children, they'll go on to help give the gift of swim to their own children.
The volunteers set goals for the swimmers, and once they start accomplishing them,
they suddenly feel like they can do anything in life, and then you're empowering them to believe in themselves.
And the best part of it all,
having all these kids have so much fun, I just think that's awesome.
Not just a swim lesson, but a lifelong gift. In Chapel Hill, I'm Caroline Boyer, Carolina Week.
Oh, what a great way to tackle a problem that many people may not be thinking about.
Absolutely, and Carolina Swims is in need of more volunteers, and you don't have to be a year-round swimmer to help out either.
Right. Coming up, you might be putting the final touches on your Halloween costume for tomorrow, but will you need an umbrella? Our forecast is coming up next.
Label me.
You know you want to.
Don't be shy.
You do it behind my back.
So say it to my face.
You don't know me.
You know what I am?
I'm a pitcher.
I'm a striker.
I'm a point guard.
I'm a linebacker.
I'm a setter.
Shortstop.
High jumper.
Wrestler.
Defender.
Goalie.
Student.
Student athletes.
That's who we are.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Election day is right around the corner, and early voting in Chapel Hill is coming to a close.
Reporter Elizabeth Holmes is at the voting station at Chapel of the Cross to tell us more. Elizabeth?
This is the last week for Chapel Hill residents and students to get their vote in early for this year's municipal elections. You can come here to Chapel of the Cross up until Friday at 6 p.m. to cast your vote for town council members, student board members, and Chapel Hill mayor. Here's a few things you should know before you head to the polls. You must be registered to vote in Chapel Hill to vote early. If you are not registered in Chapel Hill, you can register on site and vote on the same day. You must bring an approved document showing your name and current address in Chapel Hill to do so, but if you're a student and live in a dorm, your one card works for this. Early voting can take as little as 15 minutes to complete, and you will be given the same ballot that will be used on the general election voting day, November 5th. One of the candidates running for town council is UNC senior Ty Huynh. We actually introduced you to him a few weeks ago on Carolina Week. If he wins his spot on town council, he will be the second student to do so. The first was a law student in 1973. And of course, we will be covering all of the elections on Carolina Week, so be sure to stay with us as we update you on race results. Reporting in Chapel Hill, Elizabeth Holmes, Carolina Week.
The presidential election is still a year away, but candidates are already coming to our area to campaign. Democratic candidate Joe Biden made a stop in Durham to rally at Hillside High School over the weekend. He talked about the city's rich history, Black Wall Street, and increasing funding for HBCUs across the country. Biden emphasized how important winning North Carolina is for him, so he may be making another stop here before the primary in March.
Well, some sad news to report. Former U.S. Senator for North Carolina, Kay Hagan, died on Monday. Hagan had been battling health complications for the past 3 years. She was the first elected to the U.S. Senate in 2008 after defeating longtime Republican Senator Elizabeth Dole. While serving in Washington, she worked as a moderate Democrat to raise teacher pay, promote social justice, and provide affordable health care coverage.
I know many of us are excited for Halloween, but I'm really hoping that weather will be a little bit better tomorrow.
I know, and being in a costume and in the rain doesn't really sound like a lot of fun, so what can we expect for tomorrow and the rest of the week? Let's go to Kayla Boswell for our forecast.
Hey Heels, happy Wednesday and happy almost Halloween. This week the weather is a little bit all over the place, so let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. Today, as we can see, it's already raining. The high is 67 and it's going to be raining all day long. And sadly, tomorrow is not getting much better. The high is going to be 79, so it will feel warmer outside, but it will be thunderstorms all day long. But don't worry, Friday is going to be better. It's going to be sunshine all day long with a high of 59. Saturday is also going to be a nice day. It's going to be partly cloudy with a high of 62. So during the game, the weather should be great. And Sunday will be another great day with a high of 57. So make sure to have a great weekend out in the sun. Back to you guys in the studio.
Coming up, the men's soccer team has another tough go of it against App State.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to sports. I'm Kirsten Clark. The UNC men's soccer team once again lacked scoring punch when it hosted Appalachian State on Tuesday night at Dorrance Field. In the 35th minute of the game, midfielder Jack Scahan shot the ball just to the right and behind the goal. App State's Alex Hernandez then took his shot at the goal, landing it directly in goalkeeper Alex Smira's hand. After a yellow card from Mauricio Pineda, App State's Demetrius Moratakis propelled the ball to UNC's goal, where Smir once again saved the ball. With a deadly penalty kick from Alex Hernandez, App State took the lead 1-0. UNC was unable to score the remainder of the game and suffered yet another loss. Their next chance for redemption is set for Friday night against number 2 Virginia. While the NCAA decision allows for student athletes to receive compensation for their likeness remains controversial at an administrative level, most students seem to agree that it is a step in the right direction. We sent our reporter Alex Tim out to the streets to get their opinion.
With the NCAA Board of Governors passing new legislation that allows for student athletes to benefit based on their name, likeness, and brand, we decided to take it to the streets and ask students how they feel about the NCAA's new policies. What do you think about this new NCAA legislation allowing for student athletes to benefit off their likeness?
In my opinion, as a student athlete, I think that it probably is, I think it's probably for the best. I think it benefits everybody in the best way, and it never should have been implemented in the first place that people couldn't benefit from it.
I think the fact that they cannot so far, even though they do so much for the university, its own likeness and raising its own money, they play a big part into that. I think it's ridiculous. I think that they should have at least some stake in their own likeness because a person owns their own individuality.
From what we can tell, Carolina students certainly agree that the NCAA has made progress with their new decision regarding athletes and their likeness. Reporting for Carolina Week and Sports Extra, I'm Alec Tim.
Check out Sports Extra on Friday for more updates. The new UNC football ticket policy finally went into effect for last week's game. Reporter Gray Hurley tells us more.
Last week's Battle for the Bell brought a big change to the way students receive tickets for football games. Tickets for football games are now distributed in the same way that basketball tickets are, through a lottery. Many students are saying that while there is no perfect plan for giving students tickets, this is the best way to go.
I'm not sure how it could be done differently in a way that would be better. I think that a true lottery is about as fair as it's going to get. Otherwise, you would have some students trying to win their way into the game, and that just tends to alienate certain populations of the student body.
Other students think that while this is a step in the right direction, there are other surfacing problems that need to be solved.
So I was at the game, and several friends of mine were not allowed to enter and directed to some special tent because they had issues with their ticket, the name on it and whatsoever. And at that point, you know, they had missed the rush of the crowd and didn't get seats exactly where they wanted them. So I think the whole process could use a little bit of tweaking.
The university is encouraging students to increase their chances of getting into games by attending games and events for other UNC sports teams and to keep supporting Mack Brown as the season winds down. One thing is for sure, Mack is still back. I'm Gray Hurley reporting Carolina Week.
The university has not announced any further plans to change the football ticket policy, so it looks like the lottery is here to stay. That's all we have for sports today. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Kirsten. Now, I have to say I do this every year. What? It gets to like October 30th, and I still don't have a Halloween costume.
Oh my gosh, I do the same thing, but I think I always end up putting something together last minute. Like it always works out.
That's normally how it ends up. I'll probably have to go to the Halloween store right after this. But we asked students what costumes they'll be rocking tomorrow night. So if you're looking for any last minute ideas just like us, you might want to listen up.
I'm gonna be Scar from The Lion King.
I'm gonna be Elastigirl for Halloween.
A broke college student.
So some of my friends and I are planning to dress up as the Old Well. And so people are going to be the pillars, and we're still figuring out the roof, and then I'm going to be the water fountain in the middle.
I'm just going to be Clark Kent, because it's super easy.
I'm going to be a giraffe.
I'm going to be the Tooth Fairy.
For Halloween, I'm a police officer this year.
Well, those are some pretty cool and unique costume ideas for sure.
I'd say so too. You might have some inspiration for when you go to the Halloween store after this.
Absolutely, you're right.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Carolina Week. See you next time.